welcome. Planning board, August 22nd. Get started here. You want to have an opportunity to read the minutes? Any changes, additions? No? Motion to approve the minutes? Kathy? Joe, all in favor? Good. All right. We had 2 work sessions this week. We had Solvay Bank on James Street and Pathology Lab on Fly Road. First up, we're gonna hear from Alpha Omega.
Can we pull up their plan? Right here, Alpha Pit site plans. Perfect, okay. My name is Ed Keplinger, Freeman Associates. I'm here with Mike Vogel from Vogel Brown. Rich Sally, who's the applicant. We're here for reapproval of the grading and filling permit for the Alpha Omega pit, which is located in, off Ogle Road in Jamesville. The project was originally approved in August of 2020. The overall site is 134 acres in size. Our project area that we're asking for reapproval for is 56 acres in size. When the project was approved, it was approved in 4 phases. Phase 1, located at the northeast corner of the property, was a grading. It addressed grading and steep slopes in that area as well. That joined the residential properties that abut the pit in that area. We also added a stormwater facility and some screening to screen the operations from the residential properties. Phase 2 is the northwest corner of the property. That addresses the steep slopes in that area. Phase 3 is the southwest corner of the property, and that the grading and filling operations in that area address the steep slopes. And phase 4 was an overall grading and filling operation of the entire quarry to get it ready for use. Currently, we have, there's been no changes to the plan since 2020. This is the same plan that was presented back then. The filling and grading operations in phase area 1 are about 70% complete. They should be completed by 2028. The grading and filling operation, 2028, 4 years from now. The grading and filling operations are occurring in the phase 2 area. They're about 30% complete, and those will that operation will probably extend beyond 2028. Let's see. The project was approved, but when it was approved back in 2020, it was approved with 8 conditions. Mike Vogel prepared a letter that was part of our approval packet, or our submission packet, that addressed those conditions. So I guess unless we have to add it, if there's anything else to add, I think we can open it up to questions.
Yeah, so we'll have our conditions with getting you guys back in front of us. We appreciate the update.
Sure.
So we'll have those in the resolution here. Questions that we do have, this is all continued to be clean filled, correct?
Right.
Is there any of the I-81 material going into this site?
Not today, but there's potential.
That would modify seeker. Right, I mean, that's
As long as it's clean for,
that was the condition under seeker, it's all clean fill, right?
but it, and it's, it goes on.
So Greg, I can do some clarification. When FADE Contract 3 started, Rich Rosselli, by the way, when Contract 3 started, there was some discussions about using Alpha potentially as a staging area for contaminated soils that would then be tested. And if it was clean, it was gonna stay there. If it was contaminated, it was gonna go to one of the Subtitle D landfills. They found a spot on site, so none of those soils from 81 were going there. And there was some questions whether New York State DOT could allow it to happen at an off-site property that they didn't own or have a long-term lease, because they didn't have any, taste for owning Alpha or having a long-term lease, that it just, conversation went away. That might be what you're talking about, the one. What Greg's saying is like bridge decks and clean concrete, clean structural fill off other phases of 81 may come into the site, but not the request that the state was looking to make regarding the contaminated soils.
How are bridge decks cleaned after it was a highway or a road that was considered to contain gas and oil? Is that true?
Well, Greg is our head of compliance and.
It's a question.
So yeah, Greg
Yeah.
is more of an expert than me to answer that.
For the record, Greg Levitsky, I'm a professional engineer, I work for this LE. No, it's not contaminated. It's the same as if it's in the road, if it's in a pile, it's the same material. So any leachate that comes off the highway is the same as what would come off the highway. We're actually, the use here is to fill and bring it up to grade, so it's gonna be carried under 60 feet of fill. So it's encapsulated on site, it wouldn't be there for a long time.
Yeah, and the condition, Jamie, was acceptable fill material under DEC's requirements, and that's gonna continue to be what's accepted at the site.
So there's a procedure for confirming that is,
Right.
that procedure still stands.
Correct.
They submit to us, we inspect, we actually have cameras set up and document the truck and things in.
It would continue to be acceptable fill material that would be brought into the site, which was the condition that was in the 2020 approval.
Yeah, just, it says fill in materials appropriate to the goal of the development.
Right, correct. That would continue to be that. So that's the end goal, is to make the site
Here it is.
marketable.
That's a definition.
So it is defined by the DEC.
So although that's gonna just continue to be a condition.
Okay.
Correct.
I mean, we're not modifying any of the 2020 approvals, so as long as it complies with that DEC definition.
Yeah, and we're not looking to have anything change, we're looking to just continue the project that was approved in 2020, subject to the same conditions,
Yep.
that's perfectly fine with us.
No, I think that's the intent here.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just out of curiosity, you said 70% of phase one has been filled?
About 70%.
What was you said phase two?
Phase
You've already
two,
started in phase two.
we have started some phase two, yes. So we're segregating fill, well, I think Greg could go.
So the way phase one and phase two are, there's gonna be some spillover into two as you bring that up, and it's quite a big fill, so phase two started just as the total that, and as site conditions change, as different materials come in, we just kind of pick and choose which site they're going in, but as we said, we started in phase one and we continue to bring that up to grade as phase two is starting to fill now, so.
So the intent is not sequential, phase one's complete, then moving on to phase two, phase three, they're all kind of going the same,
Well, phase one and phase two are.
various speeds, right?
Yeah, so phase one was the big fill, and as you see how those lines are, that'd be, an 80-foot wall, so.
The only way you could do it is if you had a original topography, which I assume maybe was done maybe before we started filling.
Yeah, we have topo from,
Right,
yeah,
I mean, the original, so the only way you could percentage is to see what it is versus what it started at to what it is today.
I'm just curious about the rate of fill as it's progressing. It's more, for me, it was a general question.
But the only way,
Yeah,
to accurately do that is to topo.
to topo, right,
Right.
get a baseline.
Right.
And how
We're
many,
doing it by volume.
how many trucks, just what's the volume of truck traffic then, generally speaking?
I feel like 40 trucks a day, something like that.
On average,
Yeah.
you know, we bring in, I'll say, 200 to 400,000 tons a year, call it 20 ton in a truck. 200,000 divided by 20 is what? 10,000 probably 10,000 truckloads a year. It peaks in the summer and then slows down in the off season when construction projects slow down.
And where is all the material coming from?
Mostly construction sites in town of DeWitt, city of Syracuse, Syracuse University, some projects from that area. The larger projects have been from Syracuse University and some apartment housing down on Genesee Street. Some projects off Fly Road.
The stuff is heavy, so we don't try to.
Yeah, no,
I figure we did.
Mostly the southeastern portion of Onondaga County. Every once in a while, there'll be a project in the town of Clay or Van Buren or something like that where material comes in.
Good.
Syracuse has that much bills going out, who knew?
Alright, I'm gonna propose a resolution here. Our resolution dated August 13, 2020, this board approved certain grading and filling operations on the site, which included various findings and conditions, including the following condition. Grading and filling permit shall be issued for a period not to exceed 4 years from the date of issuance. If the project has not been completed with the allowable 4 years, a new permit must be applied for under the same conditions of the planning board approval dated 8/13/2020. Except however, any subsequent permit will be issued annually. The board now approves this for the continued grading and filling operations on the site as set forth in the August 13, 2020 approval, and as further supported by the site plans dated 7/18/2024 and the site plan application dated 7/11/2024, with the following additional modifications. This is a type 2 action under seeker, with the finding that there were no changes since the last permit was issued, and the determination of significance has not changed. The site plan they submitted is the same one from 2020, and is a continuation of the same project. No further environmental review is required. This board has reviewed the Onondaga County Planning Board referral dated August 21st, 2024, which offered a modification which this board accepts as a condition of this approval. The grading and filling may continue under all conditions as set forth in the August 13th, 2020 approval with the following additional modifications and conditions. 1, the applicant must reach out to the Onondaga County DOT to satisfy the modification as set forth in the Onondaga County Planning Board referral dated August 21st, 2024 as follows. The applicant must contact the Onondaga County Department of Transportation to discuss any anticipated heavy truck traffic which may have impacts to Jamesville Toll Road, Rock Cut Road, and require temporary signage. I do want to also note that trucks are not allowed on Rock Cut Road. There's signage up there, so you're not allowed to drive down Rock Cut Road, so even though Onondaga County said that, you're not allowed to drive.
The typical path is up Janesville Road, cut over the bridge and turn left into that.
Number 2, the applicant must return to the planning board 4 years from the date hereof to provide an update of the project and receive approval for an additional 4-year period. If all conditions are found to be fulfilled, the site work is progressing satisfactorily. It being the intent that the applicant shall return to the planning board every 4 years for an updated report and reapproval. A further condition is that the applicant must receive an annual building permit from the Department of Planning and Zoning for the grading and filling operations. The building permit shall be issued upon administrative review of the department to ensure compliance with the conditions herein and further administrative conditions as may be necessary. So essentially, we'll want to see you back here in front of the board for 4 years, but every year you gotta go back to that office and get an updated permit. Except as specifically modified herein, all findings and conditions of the August 13th, 2020 approval remain in full force and effect and unmodified. Any questions, changes, additions? Motion to approve. Joe, Jenny, all in favor? Aye, great, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody.
So we have U-Haul. Okay, so with U-Haul, this has been a long haul
A year,
to get this one done.
it's been a year.
But we appreciate you working with us on this one. Sounds like you got your approvals from ZBA.
Yeah, I want to.
We reviewed this project extensively, unless there are any changes since when you last presented to us. I think if we go any future or any additional presentation, save you the time. You good?
Yeah, I'm okay now talking.
Are there any from this board, any questions about this project? Talk about it,
Cleaned up the drawings to reflect all.
back to the VA and numbers are all straight.
You could be your name for the minute.
Brett, B-R-E-T-T, Lindsay, L-I-N-D-S-A-Y.
Did the signage has already been,
Yeah.
Yes,
That's all good.
yeah,
That's all good.
yes. This is fast.
Okay. I'm gonna propose a resolution here, motion to approve the site plan last dated 8/2/2024 and the site plan elevation last dated 8/2/2024 with the following findings and conditions. This is an unlisted action under seeker. This board has reviewed the EAF dated 11/22/2023 and issues a negative seeker declaration for the project finding no adverse environmental impacts from the action. This board recommended variances with respect to the signage for the site by motion dated August 8th, 2024. The variances were granted by the zoning board of appeals on August 19th, 2024. This final site plan, elevation, signage, and site circulation have all been carefully considered over a significant period of time with multiple meetings between the applicant and the board, and with consideration of the longstanding use as permitted on this industrial site. High visibility of the site on Thompson Road, the nature of the Thompson Road corridor, and the significant public use of the site. This approval is made with further condition that this approval is for plans and other submitted documents, site plan documents, that have been signed by the planning board chairperson and the applicant, and requires that all the work shown be completed by the applicant in order for a certificate of occupancy or compliance to be issued, making proposed changes, additions, or deletions to the scope of work or materials from the site plan documents are not approved and are subject to further site plan review pursuant to the town of Newton Code section 192-122. I will move this one. Is there a second? Kathy, in
If I
favor?
could make just one comment, if you could pass this on to whoever the operator is or manager, so that this whole year process wouldn't have come to this if you they kind of followed what the guidelines were. And
We submitted our permit application in August of last
I
year.
understand
It
that.
took to the end of October before we heard from them.
Right, but I'm just saying that you're not the operator of this facility, right?
No.
So that's kind of the disconnect, and then they just went and did stuff, whatever they wanted
Right.
to do. And then it's like,
It
oh,
caused a lot
okay.
of confusion.
Right, and then, different drawings and different, just was way confusing.
And there was a lot of investment that had to be kind of stopped and reversed and restarted, and I think it would be economical for them the next time to start this process before the construction process.
And that's, I think, kind of what happened, and, and you can drive by there. You're not going by there every day, or maybe you are, I don't know, but it's just like, all right, this is approved, and then they just throw it all out the window and do whatever they want anyway. So I think that's, my opinion, that's kind of where it's gotten to this point, so.
Please pass that along.
Yeah.
And they should have a copy of these on file at the office.
Unfinished.
Yeah, but I mean, the people who operate after you're gone, if you're the contractor or.
Well, I work for Americo Real Estate, who's
Right.
the
Owner.
kind of the mothership that works with U-Haul, that manages all the real estate aspect of things and like this type of stuff. And typically we get brought in with these type of projects when they're kind of getting sideways. A lot of them, like right now, I've got a building going up in Johnson City, we're doing the bigger projects where these
Right.
guys try to handle the smaller ones on their own.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, but I
I will make sure this
To this-
gets finished this
yeah.
way.
think finish it, but make sure that there's a full copy of this
Yeah.
approved application and submission.
Make sure
At the
they know
site.
not to buy any more signs. Little things.
So let's also make sure that the town has a good copy in our records.
What part would we do?
Oh, right?
Yeah, okay,
Well, that's what happened. I changed computers and lost everything from the 16th, 17th, and 18th when we were doing it in those years. And you guys lost all your stuff, so that was part of it too. It was kind of
Yep.
haphazard.
But I guess just going forward, if whoever is there, that they take a good look at this and see what is approved, so that what is approved is built, not build it and then, oh, we'll figure out how to approve it later, so that.
you are in a highly trafficked corridor over there, a lot of
I
eyes.
wanna make sure you saw your part of it.
So I made the motion, Kathy seconded.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
So
Thanks.
just stop in the board tomorrow or the office and grab a permit or,
You can coordinate with Alana.
okay, perfect. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
You too.
So are you no longer signing, the documents?
I am, but we gotta get all that stuff, we gotta get hard copies to, which are in the office, I think, so I'll stop in, because I'm here every Tuesday, so we'll do it on Tuesdays. Alright, next up, we have pathology. This is gonna be an easy one, this is simply our board declaring lead agency. Unless there are any issues, I will put the motion out to declare that this is a type 1 action under seeker. And we do have pathology here. Sorry. And I'm sorry, I don't know.
We're just sitting next to each
Oh, gotcha.
You don't wanna go get.
You're in cahoots, huh?
Alright, we'll do John, alright.
Got it.
So a motion to declare this a type 1 action under seeker and to declare the planning board of the town of DeWitt lead agency for coordinated review. Move on that one, is there a second? Joe, all in favor? Perfect. Easy. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Alright. How do we get into the meat and potatoes? Got 2 concept presentations ahead of us for Copper Top Tavern. Introduce yourself, we've got 10 minutes of time.
Dave Slosser, Schaffer Architects, representing Copper Top Tavern. If you could pull up C1. Should be the third sheet, maybe. There you go. Copper Top Tavern is basically purchased about a 1.25 acre parcel. Previously Stone Steakhouse on the boulevard. In the past, it actually was a larger parcel. It was joined with the Stone Steakhouse parcel as well as the adjoining strip center. Strip center is now lot 1 and this is lot 2. Again, 1.25 acres, 2 curb cuts. There's a shared ingress and egress easement along the western end. North is to the right. The building is slab on grade, 1 story, about 7,600 square feet. There's 90 parking spaces on this site. The easements and covenants that when the property was split allows shared parking. So they actually have the right to utilize any vacant spots on the strip center. That's about 75 parking spaces.
Do you have the document?
Yes. We submitted copies of it.
I'll review it.
Can't hear very well, but if you are asking about the easement, we do have a copy of that in the office.
Okay. Thank you.
The site from a grading standpoint is basically from south to north. Is a relatively flat site. The grade sheet drains from this hill that's on the south end to the to Erie Boulevard. There's 2 curb cuts at Erie Boulevard. There's a driveway that runs across the front of the property It's about 27 feet wide. Right now, it's 2-lane. The handicap parking is on the east side, and there are no sidewalks on the site. So basically, it's entirely surrounded by landscape. So anybody that basically parks, walks the asphalt to the entry. There's two components to the project, basically. One is some minor site modifications, and then also building modifications. And if you would go to the title sheet first, I'll talk about the building. There you go. This is the existing Stone's Restaurant from the northeast. And what's proposed is basically the footprint of the building will remain exactly the same, no changes. The entry vestibule, which is shown up at that location, the only modifications of any consequence are really to that. The existing entrance to the vestibule is kind of concealed around the east side. The entry will be modified to the north side. What we're actually doing is putting a gabled truss on top of the existing building. The entrance will then be clad in composite stone with a copper sloped roof. The roof will basically be guttered and drained back onto the flat roof, which is internally drained. That's the only really major modifications of the building. The rest of the building will be painted and remain in the same configuration, with one exception, which I'll get into when we talk about the site. Any questions on this before we go?
Did you change anything on the regular roof? It looks like it's different from the one on the other.
Paint,
Pardon?
paint,
Just paint?
yes.
Looks like you've got a piece of,
No.
It's like a shadow.
Yeah, basically, the mansard that basically in here is sloped out, which is a bit unusual.
Yeah.
And that is exactly, I think it is the shading and lighting. If you go to the proposed site plan, which is C12. There you go. Everything that's in green is basically exists and will remain. We have, the curb cuts stay the same, basically the site stays the same, the asphalt stays the same. The modification, because of the entry change, what we're actually doing is putting a sidewalk in. We're moving the handicap from the east side to the west side, putting obviously compliant sidewalks and curb cuts at this location with an entrance here. Because the driveway that's in front will be reduced to 22 feet, we've submitted drawings which show that we will stripe it and sign it for one way, west to east. The rest of the parking basic lot will be sealed and then restriped in the same configuration that basically it is now, with the exception, of course, of the change in the handicap. There are 90 parking spaces on site now. There will be 90 parking spaces on site when we're done. There is an existing dumpster that's located in the southwest. It is constructed of concrete block on 3 sides and then screened gates. That will remain, no changes, other than the gates will be modified to fit basically the recycling conditions and requirements for the containers. We are adding in this green area here about a 250 square foot trash holding area. It basically be constructed like a pole barn, fully concealed roof, asphalt with sloped asphalt shingle, and then texture 111, which will be painted. This is basically the security process that basically all the copper tops utilize for basically evenings. Trash and the employees basically move trash out to this area, and then they move to the dumpsters during the day when it's a little safer and a little more secure. The only other modifications really to the site, the existing lighting will remain. We are adding wall-mounted lights in the back, because this is relatively dark back in here. We've given you photometrics on that. The photometrics are 0 at the perimeter of the site. We've given you landscape drawings. About 80% of the existing landscape will be removed because it's overgrown, and then we're replacing it all. Each of these areas are landscaped. There's no new curbing going on the site. Any of the sidewalks are basically rolled edge, concrete curbing. Everything else is curbed. Grading stays exactly the same. Is there no other questions?
Correct, thank you. Starting with some of the site, some of my questions, the sidewalk and planting green space along the west side of the building, plan north up there, that's added, that's new, correct?
The green space exists. Actually, this is all, right now, what happens is 3 sides of the building is all planting.
Is it under the overhang, is that?
Yep.
Okay, so that's why we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah,
So,
there's
and
windows.
the reason for my question was with where those parking stalls are in relation to the egress, I guess that's egress, because that's that side, no, on that side up there is, you know, those parking stalls kind of stick out into where cars are coming in and out and how cars are circulating through that space. I mean, it's a fairly tight little S-turn to kind of come in and make that left to get down in front. I assume that you're putting the sidewalk in to drop people off and provide easy access to the front door.
Yes. Actually, those parking spaces exist now.
That was part of my question.
There's no change there, other than the fact that we're restriping it to fit, obviously, code requirements for handicap. So there's actually curbing right along here. And then
What is
this,
that current, what is that existing curbing?
this is granite right in here.
Right, so that was gonna be the next is,
This will be, granite will be removed here, and then we'll have the continuous, basically, roll of concrete sidewalk that goes in there.
You talking about a flush sidewalk, flush with the pavement? You say rolled, what do you mean?
Oh, here, yeah, I mean, basically access at that location.
just instead of that hard edge.
ADA compliant, like you can, so it's ramped somewhere to come up to the front
Right at this
door.
location here, and at this location.
Yeah,
At the cuts, at
at
those
the
curb
cuts,
cuts.
yeah.
And that'll be flush.
But in between is
6 inches above.
Basically, you've got a 6-foot ramp up. So basically, this is flush in here, 6-foot ramp up. This is a 6-inch raised curb,
out of concrete.
raised concrete sidewalk.
So, yeah, that would have to be concrete, or not concrete, granite for the curbing through there.
Around here?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't think it has to be monolithic, does it?
I mean, basically,
I think we should be.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand as a cross section, because if it's elevated at the pavement, what is defining the edge from pavement to sidewalk?
I'm gonna go to what,
And usually we ask for granite.
you're a little surprised because
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
Doug's on.
Doug, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So when we're talking about curbing internal to a site, is the required standard for the town, is it granite curbing?
Yes, it is granite curbing.
Throughout the whole thing,
Throughout
right?
the whole site?
That's correct.
Okay, so wherever sidewalk butts up to it, it's granite?
Yes.
But this is, just be sure, the question is being asked, the sidewalk is a monolithic sidewalk, basically, so we're not basically, actually, you look at the details sheet, I think it's 2
Right.
more in, maybe.
But I think the town code is that it's all granite,
I
not.
mean, mostly you got that narrow walk, that narrow drive, you gotta plow it.
Yeah, and I think it's all outlined in the design guidelines.
Yeah.
So if,
I think
no,
the design guidelines might allow them by, I'm gonna look it up right now, by
thank you,
some
Alana.
internal sidewalk, but I'm gonna look.
Yeah, I understand the guidelines, but I thought really when we're pouring the sidewalk, we could pour it basically monolithic, and we basically have a 16,
No.
16, 18-inch edge on it.
I've never seen us approve,
Right,
and something like that before,
So,
cause they get
If we have to
trashed,
do, we have to do.
they get trashed.
right, I mean, I'm just thinking that's a 19-foot wide drive aisle, is that what you said it was?
22.
It ends up 22.
In front of the building, it's 22-foot drive aisle?
It's 27 now, by the time we get done with the 5 foot, it'll be 22 left.
And it'll be one way.
It's one way.
Correct. I mean, right now, it's relatively dangerous. I mean, basically, you've got asphalt right up to the building.
Yeah, no, I think what you're doing is a
Improving.
far greater improvement to the site, we're just trying to make sure that
Okay.
what you're doing.
Okay, in the design guidelines, it says the sidewalks located at building fronts and entrances shall be curbed. Integral concrete curbing is acceptable where adjacent to sidewalks. And then it says, with the exception of the integral concrete curbing noted above, curbing shall be granite.
Right, so all island, it sounds like all islands and everything are granite,
They are.
and then where you have the sidewalk can be concrete.
Oh.
Is that your interpretation, Alana?
Yes.
Okay.
We can go back to that site plan, please.
But that's just sidewalks at building fronts and entrances, not like sidewalk out near the road or anything.
Right,
Correct, so basically, everything here is granite curb, existing, and the only place we're doing the monolithic is where we're putting the front entry
putting the sidewalk
on
in.
the sidewalk
Okay.
at the front.
While we're talking about islands and granite curbs and site circulation, we typically require islands at parking ends. So in that, well, you got the parking end there, but
How
you've
about
got,
when you're coming in?
That exists?
I know.
When you're coming in on the west side, at the west,
Here?
yeah, so at the end parking spot that you have accessible, yeah, right there, you'd have an island. So you
you know,
wouldn't,
peninsula that extends out and, you know, the protection of the car, same thing on the east side. Kind of protecting that end of the
Here?
cars down here, yep.
Okay,
And, you know, you can reconfigure the end of that parking bay, so the two stalls that are parked perpendicular, you know, you could turn them and include them vertically in there to get a clean, I mean, the reason is as cars are going around, people are gonna cut that corner, the cars and people aren't protected,
okay,
you know, in there, so that's one thing that we'll look to have you modify.
But that will have to be a granite island.
Yeah, yep, you know, those extensions.
well, let me ask a question there then. Here, actually, in this location, if we extend the sidewalk out here, we would prefer it actually to be, concrete.
Alright, well, for
If it's got an integral sidewalk, if you're extending the sidewalk straight down, I don't think there's gonna be an issue with having it as.
I mean, otherwise, we're forcing people out onto the asphalt to find,
Yeah.
to find the sidewalk,
I like how you said it.
so.
Yeah. So similar to how you did in the back there.
Well, that exists.
Yeah, that you have the hand on in the front too.
Right. But that'll end up pushing south.
I don't have a problem on, particularly on this side, although I would prefer to have the concrete go out again because
And I
there
think
is
that's
shared
fine.
parking.
Extend that concrete straight up and down.
Alright.
You know, get it as an island, it protects those cars and the people inboard. People aren't trying to cut corners through there. Fix the southeast corner in that one. I did wanna ask about the enclosure on the back of the building.
Yes,
You said it was an asphalt, basically essentially a pole barn with an asphalt shingle, hitched roof on it, and T111.
Mhm.
I don't know that, I mean, is there a particular reason for using those materials? I mean, you incorporated standing seam on the front. You know, it just seems like this back corner, which is visible because it's extended off the kind of back corner of the building. has T111 and asphalt, neither materials are on.
Well, the reason we have asphalt is basically, again, this is a flat roof area here, obviously. And I can't get, from a pitch standpoint, I wasn't planning on raising this to an elevation to drain back onto it. This elevation.
Yeah, I don't know, I
here.
mean, you're
But like
draining
standing
it, yeah,
seam,
you're
it's
draining
like
it out
asphalt.
to the site, right? You know, you're draining it
Yes,
out,
should
right?
drain it.
So from there, I don't think we have a problem with that. I think it's the material. If it's more like the standing seam that you have on the front, something to tie.
Or even if it were brown standing seam to match your mansard or your parapet.
It's got a reverse.
Yeah, well, because you don't wanna draw attention to it, so like in that
Right.
image, if it were dark like that, it would kind of blend in more.
Yeah, I mean,
But like to add another finish
I don't know,
that doesn't have a.
I would prefer your concept really, because this is not something we really wanna highlight.
Yeah,
No,
like
yeah.
make it blend.
you can take
Yeah.
copper or not
But I
copper,
mean, as far
whatever
as
color,
using
but I think the materials in the way that this is attached to the building, I'd like it to feel like it's meant to be part of the building and not just something that is a pole barn stuck to the back of
Yeah,
the building.
asphalt shingles at T111 is what the prefabricated barns look like
Mhm.
by Home Depot. I mean, that's
Right.
that's what it's gonna look like.
Right,
I think it's gonna draw more attention to it though. Stick with the vocabulary that you're investing in the building and
I mean, I think the function's fine, just the materials and how it's being presented is,
Was that whole soffit stucco in that or no?
I don't.
The existing, I actually don't, I'm not sure if it is, I think it is. But I wouldn't guarantee it. It is definitely not a siding, if that's what you're asking.
Right,
Yeah, I can't picture,
I think it's like a stucco type stuff on the, up on the
Well,
side.
they make like a T111 with the stone texture like that. Like, I wonder if you wanted to look at a finish like that to make it blend a little and then paint it the same color as the building, but have it have a stone texture or.
something, I mean, I think, we're not gonna solve it here, but at least you kind of hear that that's a concern here. The windows that you have, they have canvas awnings on them, fabric awnings?
No, yes, if you can go back to the, first sheet.
Currently on stones, they have that too.
Well,
They're not supposed to.
they're not
Right.
supposed to be, so,
I'm just saying,
No, I
they
know.
do, yeah.
right, but that will have to be modified. Cause,
You're talking these?
yeah, fabric awnings are not allowed in the town.
you do metal.
Yeah, I mean, the awnings don't have to necessarily go away, but the material can't be fabric.
Yeah, cause that image that he's showing, they look more fabric. Here, they look like they're just a single thing hanging down. It doesn't look like it has a return, it looks like just something hanging down, I don't know what it is. I didn't look when I drove by.
We'll get you a better detail on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It might not be fabric now, is what I'm saying. It could possibly not be, because it looks like it's at a angle.
I'd like you to coordinate with the office here on the lighting, because I don't think those downlights, the ones that are on the corner,
These?
no,
Ones
suspended
right
to the
to the back?
soffit. No, right on the corner right there.
Over the
suspended,
lady's head.
Yep,
Oh, these,
are acceptable. I know that they're existing and I don't know that they were ever approved to be put there,
I actually don't even know that we're
so.
probably pulling them off anyway. They're just probably part of the rendering. I'll get rid of them.
Yeah, please. You know, provide all your cuts and photometrics for all the wall packs, for everything that's there.
Well, on the wall packs and stuff like that, we provided photometrics on the back. I can't get photometrics on these. What we have done is we provided a spec on that it is a dark sky and the light is concealed. So really, these aren't.
What about the ones on the front that you're adding?
These, they're all the same. All there are is really an ornamental light.
Yep.
We tried to get photometrics from the manufacturer, we didn't get.
we'll have to
We
figure out
did
something,
basically
because
go back
when Mark, our engineer, is gonna look at this, he's gonna look at the photometrics, and there are lights on the building which are facing out towards the area they are. Shed lights,
Which is a state road.
right, so you'll have to,
I can tell you that basically what we did do is we picked a fixture where, again, it's providing an ornamental light of sorts.
Yeah.
It's not trying to illuminate the sidewalk or anything. The fixture is, the light is concealed up in the top portion of it.
no, I think it's all fine, I'm just telling you the requirements that we are gonna look for, so.
I don't know if we can get it or not, but sorry.
Can I bring up a couple of issues?
Of course.
The height right now of the proposed entrance to the building, I don't think makes code, and that would probably require a variance. It has that 1-to-1 requirement.
We're only adding 8 feet to the top of it.
What is the?
We provided a
what's the height
detail
of the
on
peak?
it. The existing is 18 feet. We're adding 8 feet to it to get to the peak. That's all. So the overall height is 26, which in that business district, I think from a zoning standpoint, it is compliant.
Is it are you talking about the 1-to-1 rule?
The 1-to-1, yep.
So from the property
Yes.
line, you gotta be more than 20, would you say it was 26?
26, yeah,
26 to
to the peak.
So you gotta be more than 26 feet back from the property line. At that point. That's how far back from the
Well,
property
he
line?
has to be 27 back because you had 27 feet
No,
in front of there.
unfortunately, if you go to the site plan, the property line actually runs right down the
Oh,
middle
yeah,
of that
there it
driveway.
is. Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
we are 18 feet to the building.
So that would require a variance application to keep that height.
of 8 feet. What is the possibility of getting that, Lana? Just to know, like, have we ever given one of those before, or is it
I
rare?
haven't seen a height variance.
I have not seen a height variance since I've been here. So I can't speak to that. Can try to get a
Since I
feel
was here.
for it in the office when I'm back.
I have not seen one on Erie Boulevard.
Right.
but
No, that'd be
that's
disappointing,
I know, because it is handsome, yeah.
because from a character standpoint, it makes a dramatic difference in the building.
You got anything else, Alana?
How many feet would it be then?
Yep, I've got one more. If you can kind of scroll down to the east side of the site. Do you see where the right-of-way line like juts in?
Yep.
Can you keep going? I think there were like 4 parking spaces in the state right-of-way. Do you know if the state ever provided any sort of permission for that? I know some of that's existing.
I couldn't tell you, those spots are existing, we haven't modified them.
We'd have to look back at this.
I can't tell you if they gave
And
approval.
also,
We haven't
Also-
found anything in the past, but I think in order to have those, you would need to get permission from state DOT.
And did
Well,
you,
let's look back at, previous Stones approvals.
We've looked back at everything and we haven't seen anything about that.
did you say,
excuse me, and also the prior Ruby Tuesdays is what
We've
was there
looked back at
before.
everything we could find in
Okay.
the office. Yeah.
did you say that you went from 99 spots to 90?
No, 90 to 90,
90 to 90, you
yeah,
stayed?
no
Okay,
change.
Okay,
And again, these are existing, the survey that Stones gave us had those 3 spots on it.
There's something on the side.
I have seen some of that on previous plans, but we don't have anything from DOT. So I can reach out to DOT and ask about this and see what they say.
There's not a whole lot that we're gonna be able to do about the parking or the drive aisles, I think they're a little narrow. But those are existing.
Weren't they in before, just before they closed, to put a patio out there or
Yeah.
something at one time?
Yeah.
Yep,
They had a proposal for one, I don't think they put it in.
no.
They came.
Well, no, if you look at the aerial, they put one in the back, right?
Yes.
They didn't put it where they,
It was supposed to be on
It
the
was
east
supposed to be
side,
on-
I think they
yeah.
put something on the west side.
no, they put it on the south side, on the back of the building.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's like, it's where you're proposing your trash enclosure.
Mhm.
On the back of the building, there's a patio back there, it's supposed to be on the east side of the building,
Maybe it's the silhouettes they got on the building, I'm thinking of.
maybe. Any other questions?
I guess my only concern circulation wise at the front is a 22-foot wide aisle road right there, drop off lane. Really, it's pretty close to two-way. I mean, it's gonna read, people are gonna want to drive two ways down that area. And I think that's a little bit of a hazard that the circulation needs to be reconsidered.
Is it worth bumping both the east and west side in a little bit so that you create a kind of,
Bottleneck, yes.
you know, a little bit of a pull-off area for drop-off, and then it narrows the neck of the east and the west down?
Right, I might even say if you're gonna do that,
Double wide sidewalk.
when you take those aisles, extensions down into the parking lane, you kind of create that end cap to narrow it down. Cause I really do think that's not gonna read as a one-way, even with signage, it's too wide.
Right, no, I see that.
They do go backwards in one way, it's quite.
Cause that's 2 11-foot lanes in a road.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is too, on the west side, people parking there will probably go out that one that's an entrance. That's gonna happen there too, they're not gonna drive across the front of the building.
That's an ingress and egress on the west side of the building,
They're both,
after Gary,
it's a two-
they're both
yeah.
two-way. To be able to go in
Did
and
you
out.
say that they were both two-way, or did you say one was only in?
The curb cuts, they're both in and out.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And that you have a variance to use the parking up also, like
yeah,
in,
we'll look at that.
Not a very easement, yes.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Good?
Yeah, I agree with Doug.
Alright, so we'll keep you on track B for this, which means there's, 2 weeks to get through to the next submission. Probably have a work session, I'll sit down and kind of review all of the comments that we've got here. Alana will look into DOT, thank you.
Yeah, I'll contact DOT.
And so we'll have some of that, but
I guess the only question I have really is the entry and the height. And I guess what I'm hearing is the chances of getting a variance on that are minimal.
I don't know.
No, I would try it.
I would support it because, I mean, really, it's not like you're
Yeah, you
right
have
up against the
space.
road, you've got a big
And
buffer.
it's not the whole
to the road.
facade,
right, it's just that
it's a
one.
portion of the facade, that would be an argument for it.
I think it does a lot for the building, I
It
think,
does,
for
it
the
looks
character of it. I mean, basically, the other alternative is just leaving it the way it is. All right. It makes sense.
I mean,
back to
honestly,
the-
I don't think anyone's ever asked.
Well, I mean, if
So
that's the avenue that you're gonna pursue, then let's build that into the timeline so that we make sure that we're getting your application from the ZBA appropriate time, we can make a recommendation after seeing all of the backup, keep that process moving, but
Well, I could get into ZBA quickly because we didn't have to change anything here. Everything else, that we're talking about changes are site plan review, right? So I'm
right,
going to them strictly for the height
Do
issue.
you know what the deadline is, Leah, for ZBA?
I think the 26th is the deadline for the next meeting. Leah, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're correct. August 26th is the deadline for the next available meeting, which is September 16th.
Yeah, that's next Monday. So if you want to get us an application before that,
we can
then
make that application, and then we can turn around at, a meeting right us before. We have an opportunity to kind of review some of the stuff, and we can make that recommendation right before ZBA meets. And then they'll have that, and then,
That way you can keep it going.
yeah, And that's, I'd like to keep the process moving.
Oh, so do we, because, I mean, obviously they're hungry to get going on the inside.
Yeah, no, I mean,
90% of what we're doing.
I think
is
it's a great upgrade to the building, you know, we've got some site stuff to work out and figure out, but if we can keep that process moving, if we get the application in on Monday, then we can start to look at that and formulate that recommendation, if we're comfortable with it. You know, and get in front of ZBA.
To be in by what time?
I do believe they have to be in before 3 on Monday. I can verify that when I return to the department.
That's probably on there.
Okay,
All right, appreciate it.
yep, thank you.
Do you wanna see what we're thinking about for your sloped roof?
You got a problem with a bunch of architects on this board.
We- No, in the front.
I'm sorry, what do you mean thinking?
So,
Well, basically, instead of,
cause you're demoing the whole thing, you show it being
No, I'm
demoed.
not demoing.
They're just adding the trust.
No, we're taking,
Oh, I thought, cause in the plan, it looks like it was being demoed, so if you chop the top off of that front part and then put the slope roof behind it and had like a shed roof coming out over that.
chopping means that's all steel frame. So,
You didn't say why planned, like.
we'll go for a variance.
I like the variance idea.
Okay,
All we're doing is setting basically a truss on top of that existing parapet. It's a simple process.
Yeah.
They got the big end over.
yeah. No, that's.
Well, big upgrade for
Oh,
the
yeah.
area, and I won't have to drive all the way out
Shake
to
Shack
North
across the way.
Syracuse to get a pizza.
All right, thank you.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank
Next up,
you.
we got, I'm gonna butcher it.
They're really nice sketches.
Neville Plumbing.
I'm Rod Ives with Naperville Consulting. I am
Yeah.
pinch hitting for Neil Zinsmeyer. So, do the best I can. Say
He threw you to the wolves.
that. He went on vacation with his kids, so,
Likely story, right?
yeah, right? When we kind of walked through that, I'm like, boy. So, Neville, it's a paving project. They came in, I'm not even sure timing wise, but whether it was a year or 2 years ago, as far as to get a building permit to do the modifications to the building, and they were given that permit. These guys, they weren't trying to do an end run around, they came in, talked to people in the building department, and so building is what it is. They reused the existing building, so there's some setback issues with the existing building. So, you know, I'm not sure where we wanna go as far as trying to clean up some of the paperwork on this site with some of the existing condition stuff. Right now, the site, all of this is currently gravel, and the big crux of this is that people are tracking gravel into their building, and they're trying to eliminate that.
And out onto the street.
Yeah, so this would clean up a lot of that. But with all that, being that it's a tight site, you know, we're trying to put some landscaping in front of the building. But with it being so flat, we can't put in sidewalk because that would put the sidewalk above the first floor of the building. You know, and so there's a lot of difficulty with meeting all the different parts of the town code with this site. You know, and ultimately, they're just looking to pave so they can clean up everything.
Plus in the spring, you have 6 to 8 inches of water.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't know how much of that we're going to eliminate. We did our best. We're showing a 1% grade for this parking lot.
Yeah, but to what extent would this actually exacerbate the problem?
It-
You're really pushing it somewhere else, right?
Not
Well,
really, I mean, they're just, it's impervious essentially right now, it's crushed
Yeah.
gravel, and they're paving it. You're not gonna have, they're not pushing it anywhere else, I mean, it's just, you're putting.
Well, it's
right now it goes out into the street.
gravel, it's pervious
It's-
now,
Yeah,
Not really.
yeah,
crushed gravel?
Well,
it's considered impervious, or pervious.
well, depends on which reg you're looking at. State looks at gravel as impervious when we're talking water quality, but for water quantity, that give you a little bit of, that curve number can come down a little bit from asphalt for gravel, but not a whole lot. Usually you're going from a 98 to a 96. So, you know, and on a small site like this, that really doesn't matter. You know, we're less than an acre. You know, everything right now, it's drains out into Butternut, into the swales that are there, and then it, you know, site floods. That's, and, you know, at 1%, it's not gonna, the water's not gonna move much as it is. You know, we talked to a paver, and he's like, yeah, we're still gonna get the bird baths. Yeah, because at 1%, you know, it's a real tough grade.
Right.
So
no modifications of the building.
none.
Parking wise, you're not paving the whole thing, you're paving half of it.
Yeah, just up to,
And you're striping that area.
yeah.
How are you defining the other parking stalls?
We're not really, I mean, so would be for employees. So right now, the building usage is mostly storage for their contracting business. They do have, you know, their operational staff in-house, but that's less than 10 people.
So while we're on that, if we're talking about parking counts on there, we were talking about the actual use of the building Tuesday. And what, I don't know how much you're gonna be able to talk about the operations that there. You know, you said a good amount of it is storage. You know, what percentage is storage versus office? I don't know if they do any manufacturing there or.
Yeah, I don't even think Neil knows those specifics, but, you know, as far as to try to get more of what that parking count needs to be for code.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
can.
and the reason that we're kind of running, the ones that are tucked all the way up into the back corner,
Right, yeah.
they're not functional. And I know we're showing them, or you're showing them on here, but in reality, they're not functional and.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, you know, I think what code requires 25 spaces, so we're showing 26, you know, and.
And what calculation is being used on there?
He's got one space per 500 is the requirement, is what it's saying. So I don't know, but we can look at,
Manufacturing, right?
They're a plumbing contractor.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, if they're using it for storage of materials, if it's just big racks, you know, that there's
Is
not
it
office
just-
space.
That are just based on
Is
the
it
employee,
warehouse,
Right.
basically?
actual employee count.
Right, so then that's where we can kind of go with that, cause I would like to see if we can reduce that parking count to something that's reasonable, is to tear out some of that gravel, get it back to true impervious in there, or try and help. Pervious. Get it back to pervious. It's been a long day.
Told him I was gonna take a lot of notes, so.
And that's fine, and you know, this is our first meeting looking at it.
Until it's recorded, you can also come back.
That's true, yeah.
He's about as technical as I am though, so.
Planting wise, you're gonna need to add some street trees along the front, inside your fence.
In this area in here?
Yep. Maybe ones that suck up a lot of water,
River birch, willow.
that are acceptable to the town arbor. Doug, Alana, anything else I'm forgetting? Oh, yeah, I mean, but that's on there, I think that's shown.
Yeah,
there.
one thing that came up was that there's vehicles being parked on the lawn area in the front right now.
Yeah, I mean, we should, I mean, but if there's planting, if you add a couple of street trees on.
Yeah, if we're putting in larger trees, yeah.
Right, but that's what the town is seeing, I mean, certainly this is a travel corridor through here, but they're seeing that there are people parking in trailers and other stuff in that space, but the fence and the building along the front there, which shouldn't be doing, so.
It's a tough story.
What else, Doug?
I just told Rod, it's a tough site. I mean,
That's why we gave it to Neil. But yes, we are showing curving, granite curving at the entry.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's gotta dive back down. Once you get it back into the site, just because of the grading issues.
And then, Doug, you mentioned on Tuesday, reconfiguring parking, so it's not, I mean, there's certainly a question about truck turning and maneuverability through here, but taking that lower parking and pushing it up, right?
You have a better memory than I do.
The parking up against the face of the building down, those ones there, making them more aligned to the.
Oh, more in line with the
Swing
aisle
list?
itself,
Yeah.
so that, yeah, cause now that's, unless you did it for truck turning.
Yeah, which would, you might be able to, get a couple extra spots out of there if needed, but
Have it be two-sided.
It's really just defining more of an aisle, parking on both sides instead of this big open field.
Right. Which could also go back to service.
Which you could get pervious, a pie shape in there, maybe.
No outdoor storage.
At the roadside, what are you talking about over there?
Any other comments? Questions from you?
You'll probably hate me for bringing this up, but as far as I'm looking at paperwork wise, the legalities of, paving right up to the property line, setbacks. Any issues with that, or we?
You don't. I think we've just like held a foot off the property.
I think you're supposed to have a landscape strip in there, but I don't, does this count as pre-existing since it's been there?
I'd say so. There's a chain link fence that runs along that side right now.
And that was there prior to Neville buying the property, so. And they haven't done any exterior improvements, everything they've done has just been inside.
Right. Yeah, I think this is the opportunity to kind of clean all that stuff off, so. I mean, I think as long as you're holding it the foot off the line right there.
The fence has to be a foot off, is what they were saying, so maybe.
The fence is already existing.
Yeah, but it could, is it right on the line? Cause I see another line right above it.
Well, it's tough because of
Yeah.
again, the surveyor symbols, they're blown up, I mean, if you were to say that the posts are where they're shown on here, they're on the other side of the property line. But, I get I need a fire hydrant 6 foot in diameter, because I'm on a 50 scale drawing or something like that. So it's, we'd have to confirm that with the surveyor, look at his points, see what he's got. And actually, this fence, I don't know, it might be part of the neighbor's property.
So I couldn't hear some of your discussion. I'm guessing the air is on, but the
Just
design
turn it
guidelines.
off.
Yeah, it's amazing. The second it turns on, all of a sudden you can't hear anything. But design guidelines say that landscaped area should be at least 10 feet wide at side and rear yards, 20 feet in front yards, placed entirely on applicant's property. So again, I don't know if this, Jamie, if even though they're paving it, if it would count as a pre-existing condition since it's always been pretty much impervious for a while, but.
10 and 20, we wouldn't have any parking in the back there.
Right, but I guess that goes to defining the use of the building and figuring out exactly how many spots we actually need. I mean, if there's a way to reconfigure that parking that gets the required amount that's there, it gives you a buffer as the
So if we,
design require, then.
basically, if we can get it down, say like 20 spaces,
Get rid of the
how can we reconfigure this to get that
You've got a-
20 and move
you've got
everything
an
around.
overhead door in that little bump out, right?
Yeah, it's over in this
There?
area, yeah.
And then there's nothing else, there's no other overhead doors around the rest of the rest of the.
Not that I'm aware of.
Right, so if we can define the use of the building, figure out what the actual required parking is, if there's a configuration that fits in there, which gives us that buffer, you know, reduces that impervious surface, organizes the parking a little bit more,
Sure,
you know, that,
we can certainly look at that, I mean, yeah.
okay?
Bring it out between office space and warehouse space.
Yep.
Certainly,
Okay,
works for me.
thank you.
Great, thanks.
And that should do it. Any other topics to discuss? No, good. Alright, motion to close, Doug, second, Joe, all in favor? Alright, thank you very much, enjoy your evenings.
Can I just ask, who made the motion on Fifth Avenue?